Yeah, that's the church version.
The church version.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Okay, let me see. Is Debo cold enough to come in?
Say something.
Is his mic on?
Yeah, say it, Doc.
You cold enough to?
Yeah.
I was able to get up this morning and
Say something real.
Wait a minute. What was that? What was that line?
Yeah.
Really?
Say something real.
Lord, you kept me from lying this morning. Woo!
I didn't commit adultery.
Ooh. Lord, strike that from the record. Oh, it's on.
Dude said, strike that from the record.
Now that mic on.
So his mic went down. They missed it.
Lord,
The good Lord didn't hear him say it, so we had to
The
strike
Lord
it.
saved you from
He heard me.
yourself.
He heard my cry.
Strike that from the record, Lord.
He heard my cry.
Can you really say that?
Yeah.
Strike that from I
Like we in
cut.
court.
I didn't mean it, Jesus. Can you really say that?
Yeah. I didn't really mean it.
You know my heart.
Strike that from the record, Lord.
I am so mad.
Which record?
Uh,
The record we cutting or the record up there?
Oh, that one up there.
Whoever's gonna get me in the most trouble, strike. No, wait, the most immediate trouble.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll deal with it later. Good morning, good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to, I don't know what this is, but welcome to it. This is Michelle Bryant. You are listening to WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. This is Say Something Real.
Yeah,
Didn't know it was going to be the gospel edition,
yeah.
but hey, every now and then,
You
need a
felt
little
that
church.
thing, you
Need
know.
a little church.
Every now and again, so you can get
We
it.
want to thank Jermaine Reed for always.
Who?
Oh, I said Jermaine Reed.
See?
Jermaine
Come on,
Reed.
Debo, sing it. Come on, Debo, sing
Nah,
it.
he must be
Lord,
talking
I
about-
want to thank you.
Yeah. You said the wrong name.
Kept me from lying.
He's
this
like said at
morning.
the wrong time.
Right.
I ain't said a cuss word yet. Right, Jermaine? I ain't had to cuss nobody out yet.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and I said, I just want to say something real.
Say something real. Get your Earth, Wind, and Fire on. Say something real now. Say something real now. Woo!
That's the Earth Wind.
Yeah, that's Earth, Wind, and Fire version.
The high earth, wind, and fire.
Go out to the car and come back.
Give me the cool in the gang.
Nah, Doc.
Oh my God! I've already
They
put
don't
it
know
out
what
there.
it is.
I don't know what this is,
Right.
but you're
right.
welcome to join us.
Oh, gee.
Let me do a couple things. I want to put a disclaimer out. I'm gonna try to wait till these kids go to school, but there are gonna be elements of the show this morning that's a little trifling,
Uh-oh.
a little tainted, a little sin-filled.
Sinfield.
there are gonna
Lord.
be elements of this show that will make you question possibly why you tuned in today.
That happens pretty much every day, Michelle.
No,
Yeah.
they do that when they listen to Key Show.
Oh.
Why
oh.
did I tune in?
Why am I still here?
Why am I still here? Exactly.
I know why I tuned in to the station, but why am I still here?
So
He's listening, by the way.
yeah, well, I know he is, which makes it even better when I'm able to say it. And they'll have to see his two thumbs up in the air. I just,
Wow.
I just want to be thankful. I want to thank you,
Heavenly Father.
So let me start off first of all by acknowledging the passing of a brother that was very well known here in the community, Daryl Farmer. A lot of people knew him by the moniker King Rick, but he was a member of the Black Panther Party here in Milwaukee, and he has passed away at the age of 62. The Journal Sentinel actually has an article on his passing. I'm going to take it directly from the article. Daryl King Rick Farmer, a Black Panther leader whose imposing size and voice became synonymous with social action in Milwaukee, died Wednesday. Farmer, who was 62, died in Milwaukee, according to friends, but a cause wasn't immediately clear. A part of the original Black Panther Party for self-defense since the age of 10, Farmer reformed the original Milwaukee Black Panthers in 2015. One of the more misunderstood organizations in American history, the Black Panthers support a militant approach, but also strong community social programs like food and education initiatives. Farmer was known to disrupt public meetings, like Milwaukee Common Council sessions, with loud chants and for suing the city and the mayor when the Black Panther subsequently got kicked out by police. He stood 6'4" tall and roughly 280 pounds. He often sported a black overcoat with a military-like cap that had stars like generals. He was unmistakable and a dominating force in whatever he did. Usually that was supporting Black women and children. Walter Guerin is the president of the Brown Berets, a Latino activism, where'd it go? Group closely connected to Farmers Panthers. He said the Panthers Berets, Farmers Family, and other activists all met Wednesday afternoon to decide what is next now that they've lost their leader. We want to continue his legacy. We want to continue his grand plan. We want to have a change of leadership at some point. Guerin said he became a general in the party or a Brown Panther after Farmer decided he wanted to get his affairs in order prior to his death. Farmer stepped down as the leader of the party in 2021 and passed the torch to a new leader. Farmer was a little ill already, Guerin said. He wanted to make sure his legacy continued, so I decided to become a general for him. In the early 80s, the Black Panther Party dissolved due to FBI infiltration. In Milwaukee, former Alderman Michael McGee Sr. started the Black Panther Militia in 1989. Farmer was the bodyguard and top general to McGee. Farmer, alongside McGee, rose to fame after McGee demanded improved living conditions on the north side of Milwaukee, where the majority of Black residents reside, or else he would threaten an armed struggle. Their rhetoric brought the Milwaukee Panthers to daytime talk shows like Jerry Springer, Phil Donahue, and Montel Williams. Even 60 Minutes had a segment on McGee, who stepped down as a Panther leader in 1998, and the organization fizzled out again. McGee didn't respond to a request for a comment on Wednesday. Nearly 2 decades would pass before Farmer felt a need to bring the Panthers back to Milwaukee. Farmer told the Shepherd Express in 2021 that he was driven to a life of social change at age 6. In 1968, following talks of segregation in Milwaukee and an overwhelmingly white school staff disparaging remarks of Father James Groppe and Val Phillips. Launching the original Black Panthers on January 1st, 2015, Farmer was dismayed with current leaders at City Hall and conditions in the Central City. Craig Peterson is CEO of Zygmunt Joseph, Wisconsin's oldest independent public relations firm. Two men on opposite ends of the political spectrum, Peterson worked with Farmer, uniting in opposition to former Mayor Tom Beard and his administration. Peterson said Farmer was focused on removing lead pipes in the city, opposing the streetcar, and getting drugs out of convenience stores. Similar to the programs in the 60s and 70s under Farmer's leadership, the Panthers fed hundreds of families in Central City, helped high school students prepare for the ACT and SAT tests, and used that often cited form of intimidation only the Panthers can to encourage business owners to resolve their rodent infestations. Farmer also helped form new Panther chapters in other parts of the country comprised of people of different races. The beautiful thing about him, he didn't see color, Guerin said. People think he was a Black Panther. He was just for the Black movement. That wasn't it. He was for everyone. He cared about equity and justice for all. Peterson recalled a similarly fascinating man. Peterson said he couldn't say for sure, but he believes Farmer worked as a school teacher at some point and taught the French language. He spoke French fluently, Peterson said, adding that when he and Farmer would get lunch, Farmer would enjoy talking to the waitstaff in French. Here was this big guy with this intimidating exterior who really had this huge heart for his community and for whoever he was talking to at the time, Peterson said. He really cared about you and he wanted to hear about your life and your family, and that always impressed me. He had an army of folks who followed him because he was such a good leader. Peterson said another iteration of the Black Panther Party formed in Milwaukee in the last decade, and they became synonymous with violence. They were giving Daryl's group a bad name, and it was really getting him pissed off, Peterson said. They were promoting violence and guns, and that was the last thing Daryl was promoting. Daryl was promoting justice. Farmer didn't want a big funeral, so he'll be laid to rest in a private ceremony. Activists plan for a community vigil tentatively scheduled for Friday. So, if I get information about where this community vigil will be, I will certainly make the community aware of it. I was telling Ride Out before the show started, I have had my good and bad moments, or confrontational moments, with Daryl Farmer. I would never call him King Rick. I just wouldn't. I don't believe in calling people king unless that's on your birth certificate. Um, and some of the protests. I remember the tax and take meeting over at the church, over on Good Hope. It was disrupted and it was scary for people. And I later talked about it on the show that I just didn't G for the way it was handled. So we have had our disagreements, but I certainly know how to pay respect. I know how to acknowledge that this brother was out there trying to make a change the best way he knew how. And that when you talk about that,
his heart was in the right place.
Say what?
His heart was certainly in the right place.
Always, yeah, always.
He was a little aggressive. I can recall. I know 35th and Center, there was a store over there. I guess they had gotten wind that there was some poor interaction. They beat up a customer or something, man. That store never opened again after they went in there that day. Never opened up again. And there's now a smoke shop, but it was and it had been there forever. That store had been there for many a year, but whatever they did that day, they beat up somebody, and once them boys went in there, they never opened again.
Yeah, no, I mean, you certainly can point to a lot of the work. And there were a lot of people, as the article indicated, that followed this brother, had a huge amount of respect. And people were looking and continue to look for leadership in the community, people to have a presence. And Daryl certainly provided that. He was, because 6'4", I guess because I'm used to tall brothers, I'm like, okay, that's tall. But it was his weight, that
with
also,
with that height,
with that height that made him such a formidable looking person. And and always dressed in black. And so it was just one of those things. But I'm glad to see that the Journal Sentinel acknowledged publicly the passing of this brother, because and I'm trying to see, let me go see who wrote this article. It was written by brother Drake Bentley, because it could have been written very differently.
Right. Or not written at all.
Or not written at all. Absolutely. And so this is also that other point that we try to make about representation mattering, and or that representation matters, and having people in these rooms and these spaces, in these companies and organizations that see life through a different lens, or can bring additional insight to a situation or understanding about things is important. So yeah, this was actually very interesting. And I want to thank brother Drake Bentley, who wrote this piece and wrote it in a way that was respectful. And let me just see, I had to pull up his information. So Drake Bentley, the author, or the journalist who wrote this story, a Northside Milwaukee native, Drake Bentley covers statewide breaking news at night for the Journal Sentinel Metro Hub, but also as a general assignment and trending reporter. He's contributed to stories all across JS Online, politics, business, features, education, sports, and investigations. He has a master's degree in journalism from the University of Nebraska. Just want to say I appreciate the work, brother. I appreciate the work. All right. So with that being said, a couple of things that I want to get to today. I'm gonna go back and forth. I'm going to go back and forth between local and national events, but there is a national thing, and it was ironic. Jermaine sent me something similar to what I was going to mention this morning, because I had just been talking about this in the last couple of shows. And, if people don't think that there is a target on the back of people of color, Black people in particular, y'all, you're not paying attention. You absolutely are not paying attention. Let me tell you what I mean. The United States Marines, in fact, let me just take it directly from the article, then I'll talk about it. Based on a new policy, people who are inflicted with a skin condition that can cause pain and scarring on their face, razor bumps, from shaving can be kicked out of the Marines if it does not clear up within a certain amount of time. This may greatly affect Black men. According to the Marine Corps Times, the U.S. Marines Corps has stated that any Marine who has been diagnosed, and this name is crazy, pseudo ophalicultus, it's long. I butchered it, but that's the general idea. Barback has to undergo medical reevaluation within 90 days to see if they will still require a shaving waiver due to the condition. This condition that I butchered, which has the acronym PFB, is a common inflammatory reaction of the hair follicle, most often on the face as a result of shaving. The affliction is aggravated with regular shaving of the face. Ensuring the health, resilience, and discipline of our Marines and sailors is essential to sustaining our warfighting capability and maintaining the high standards required to remain ready for any challenge. A message sent from the Marines stated. And it goes on to say, these standards ensure we remain the world's premier fighting force, ready to fight and win with unwavering readiness, discipline, and lethality. So this message was just issued on March 13th after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered a review of military fitness and grooming standards. A treatment plan was suggested for Marines that have this condition with the goal of, quote, returning service members to grooming standards and ensuring maximum warfighting readiness. So the treatment plan, they said, has its 4 phases. In the first phase, Marines will avoid shaving for 4 weeks until the razor bumps subside. In the second phase, it will allow Marines with moderate to severe cases to stop shaving for 8 weeks, or another 4 weeks if they were already going through the first phase, including potential hair removal through depilatory treatment. Phase 3 gives the Marine an additional 4 weeks of the same treatment if the condition remains. In the final 4th phase, Marines whose razor bumps don't improve will be referred to a dermatologist for potential laser treatment that will be paid for by the government. For the time being, military medical officers can give a medical waiver to Marines diagnosed with this condition. The waiver will be reviewed and a commanding officer will have to sign off on it. Marines who need a waiver for over a year might be removed from service due to this new protocol. What did I tell y'all about when I first moved to Wisconsin? My first husband at the time, working in corporate America. And they had a policy at Miller Brewing Company about folks being clean shaven. You know, men having a face that was clean shaven. And my ex-husband's face, like a lot of brothers, you shave every day, you messing up your skin. You getting razor bumps everywhere. And I don't know what, and you know, I know there are people that can explain it to me. I've had some of these conversations with G down at G's Clippers before, because I know he had developed some products to be able to deal with that. I've seen other products that other men I know have used, Bump No More. My son actually was getting the very same thing. He was getting razor bumps, and I literally put Neosporin on my son's face. He was fighting me when I was trying to put it on there, but I was like, put this on there, man. And that literally, just that alone, stopped my son from having those razor bumps from shaving, because he too worked or works in corporate America, and there was this expectation about facial hair. They didn't want men with beards or even that 5 o'clock shadow, because for some reason, I guess, you can't make a business deal if you got hair on your face. You know, white people crazy, silly standards about what you're supposed to look like in the workplace. Because that's all it is. It's somebody's preference. This has nothing to do with ability to do a job, nothing to do with mental, acuity or acumen or being smart or being able to deliver. It has nothing to do with performance whatsoever. This is about somebody's preference. However many hundreds of years ago, tens of, decades ago, that somebody decided this is the way they wanted to see people show up in the workplace. And all these years later, there are people that are still trying to hold people to this standard. But it's a made up standard that has no impact on your ability to do a job. And when you know now, scientifically, that this has been an issue that has really been problematic for Black men in particular, we don't relax these standards. So you trying to tell me a brilliant mind like a Colin Powell or CQ Brown, if you got razor bumps that you can't get rid of in a year, you could have got put out of the military? You telling me that we will prioritize your facial hair over your mental ability and willingness to serve this country? And we know that for the most part, this is not something that plagues white men. So what you doing? Why are you doing it? And will other divisions of the military pick this up? Because we saw this was in the Marines. My money says you might not get this done in the Army. Because see, that's where they like brothers and sisters serving, in the Army. Of all of the different divisions of the military, people don't talk about it a lot, but quietly behind the scenes, folks have long believed that folks of a certain, ignorance believe that the Air Force and the Marines was reserved for white men. Begrudgingly, okay, white women, y'all can come too. But this is the cream of the crop, like being a U.S. Navy SEAL. This is the cream of the crop. Y'all really don't belong here. Y'all can go do the grunt work in the Army. That's where y'all belong. So what if we see more corporations also adopting this again? That because of something that I have no control over, I could lose my job in a job that not a whole bunch of people are signing up to do. And you know that it impacts a specific and particular race or group of people. And you bring this back. But sexual assaults is happening in the military amongst the leadership, rank and file. They sweeping it under the rug. We don't want to deal with that. But we want to deal with your facial hair. Some people stay stuck on stupid. I gotta take a break. I'll be right back.
Donald Trump is out of control, stopping payments for healthcare and food for hungry kids, eliminating the Department of Education, and letting Elon Musk access your most private information. Now Trump and Musk are backing Brad Schimmel because they know he'll let them do whatever they want. Not Judge Susan Crawford. She'll be the check and balance we need to protect us from Trump when he goes too far. That's why we need Judge Susan Crawford on the Supreme Court.
sisters the man. And I'll rise this time. Oh, this is ladies' night. Oh, feelings right. Oh, this is ladies' night. Oh,
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So before I went to the break, taking a moment to talk about a new directive that has come down from the fake Secretary of Defense, unqualified, whatever is the opposite of a supposed DE hire, unqualified, white male hire. Pete Hegseth has, in line with, I think, a number of things that are targeting people of color, has talked about reviewing the policy regarding appearance of folks in the military to include facial hair, and that a affliction that is prone to many Black men, if they are to shave their faces every day, get those razor bumps that many of us have seen on our husbands, our sons, our family members or brothers, dads, that if you can't get this under control within a year, that they could ask you, or they could not ask you, they could put you out of the military. And, so some people have successfully been able to find solutions that work for their skin, but not everyone. Before anybody calls me, because I said that I believe that this is about personal preference, I am aware that one of the things that the military said, and the first time you saw a real requirement on facial hair, goes back to World War I, in which they were saying that because of gas mask, they wanted service members to have hair that was no longer than an inch long, hence those closely cropped cuts that we see them get in the military, or clean shaven heads in some cases. And they wanted that facial hair to be not to be there, so that the gas mask could fit snugly on their faces. Let me just say this. Before that became one of the public facing explanations, there was already a push underway about people not having facial hair before the gas mask even became what they publicly were telling people. This is why we're doing it. They can actually trace it back to the Romans, where soldiers in the fighting force of the Romans were being required to have clean to have clean shaven faces. So this is not just based in, this is what was needed for a gas mask. And we need to talk about today, again, when this right now is a volunteer military, how many people are stepping up because they want to serve, but this may be something that we can use to exclude people. I see I got a caller. Let's bring them into the conversation. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Well, good morning, Miss Michelle Bryant.
Hey, JT, how you doing this morning?
I am doing excellent, and yourself.
I'm good. I'm good.
And good morning to Mr. Devo and to Mr. Right Off.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning
brother.
there, JT.
Did you say right
Hey,
off?
Right off. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What are you getting off of there, Jermaine?
Well, I'm getting off on 32nd and Capitol.
Michelle, I just want to call and say quickly. I have a younger sibling, the next oldest in the family. I'm the oldest. My brother Robert Lee Turner, he's the next oldest in the family. Now, when I joined the Marine Corps back in 1970, Robert, like some siblings do, they try to follow the older sibling, behind them, walk behind their footsteps, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
But Robert, he tried to join the Marine Corps. I want to say 71 or 72, and as you were talking about this morning with the sensitive skin condition, he had that problem too. I didn't, but he did. And I think about 2 or 3 months in boot camp, his condition got so bad they had to give him a medical discharge out. Okay, but he only did about 3 months before his condition got so bad that they had to let him go. And that's because of the type of razors they give us. We have to have special razors to shave with, especially if you have sensitive skin like that, but which they didn't have back then, but they do now. However, now what you just read off today, talking about after they be in the service for a year and they still have their condition, and then try to kick them out.
Right.
Well, see, one of the ideas on that is once they get kicked out, they won't be able to qualify for the benefits. See, like I said, I had my brother spend at least 6 months or a year to the Marine Corps, and they had get him a medical discharge out. He'd been qualified for student loans, housing loans, et cetera, and et cetera. So the way you explain it, my understanding is they're trying to find a way to kick out the black men without them qualifying for the benefits that they earn by serving at least over 6 months in the military.
But JT, one thing I'll note is that it doesn't even say this is just for new recruits. It could be black men that have been serving already for years. And
That's what
this is a reoccurring problem. So I might have 15 years in and they still make a determination that they could kick me out.
Right. And then did they kick you out, you won't be qualified for your benefits. My point exactly. That's a shame.
So how long do you have to be in to be qualified for benefits?
At least 6 months. At least that's where it was back in the 1970s. I don't know how it is now.
Okay.
So yes, back then it was about you had to serve at least 6 months to qualify for your benefits.
Okay.
Now, yeah. So like I said, I don't know what it is now, but yeah, that was back then. But then that's when the war was going on too. Also, the Vietnam War. So that has something to do with it too, I guess. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that happened to one of my siblings with the Sabin condition, him being medically discharged out. But because he only did three months or something like that, he wasn't qualified for any benefits, but he did get a medical discharge.
Okay.
He did. Otherwise, he got some respect. What they're doing to the brothers now is just so disrespectful. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But anyway, Michelle, I just wanted to share that with you. Everybody have a good morning.
All right, JT, I appreciate the information. And while JT was talking, I did do a cursory look around to see if I could find something. What I came up with is to be eligible for most veterans benefits, you typically need to have served a minimum of 24 continuous months or the full period for which you were called or ordered for active duty. However, there are exceptions, such as those who served before September 8th, 1980. So right now it looks like that you got to do 2 years, continuous months, or the full period you were called to for active duty in order to be eligible. I just think that it's just crazy that, again, if you can't provide an actual safety reason for this, that, because you're clean shaven, you're somehow perceived to be better than, more capable, more respectful than somebody who has a little bit of facial hair. Like, this is 2025. This is just archaic. But anyway, let me hit a couple of other things. I talked about making sure that people got their real ID. It was either yesterday or a couple of days ago. You may have seen some of the stories down in Florida. So I'm saying it again. I don't think we would be like that here. Just because of, the size of our state in comparison to other states. But folks down in Florida are saying that they can't get an appointment at the DMV to come in and get real ID for 2 to 2.5 months out now. That a number of people are bombarding the DMVs to try to get these real IDs. A number of college students who are coming home who realize they got to fly back to school in the summer to go back for the fall semester, that their ID won't be valid. So they were showing tons of people in line. But the crazy thing was that somebody had figured out you can go online and make your appointments. So some group of people went online and just booked all these appointments. Then they came to the location at the DMVs and they were selling those appointment times for anywhere from $25 to $250.
What?
The appointments are free. They are free. But Michelle, it's almost like a ticket scalper. Michelle go in, lock down all these appointments, and then people come and they tell, oh, you got to have an appointment. And folks like, oh my God, somebody, hey, Miss Lady, I got a 10:45 appointment. I'll let you have, but my time, I got to come back out here. So I'll let you have for $25. Oh, you got to go to the Bahamas for your vacation on May 17th. And they don't have appointments now for 2 months. $250, I'll let you have my appointment. And people have been paying. Why are you smiling like that?
Man, that's a cold lick.
Cold move.
That's a cold. I wish I'd have thought of that. That's a
They-
cold
You're
lick.
trying to go online now.
Oh,
They-
Doc,
Some
listen here,
appointments.
man.
They interviewed this sister.
The wheels on the bus is going round and round in my
They
head.
interviewed this sister and they was asking her, are you aware that this is happening? And she was like, nah, but that was genius.
That's a cold lick, Jack. Woo!
Ain't no overhead involved in that one.
Listen here, man.
So they are now getting ready to introduce quick legislation
Mm.
to be able to make it illegal for someone to book an appointment with a public entity and then turn around and sell that appointment to anyone.
Debo, we got to move fast,
Yeah,
brother.
man. Yeah.
I'm online now booking something.
You
late. I'm already on.
Listen here, man. That's a cold move, boy.
So I just want to tell people in Chicago, over in Illinois, I heard that they systems was like going haywire. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. The real ID, and and then like I've been saying, I've been telling people on our station for years, all during COVID. I was giving folks the update, like, okay, y'all, they're gonna push it back. But don't mess around, don't play around, go ahead and go get it. All right, y'all, it's gonna come. Oh, they got a new date. They moved it again. So people was like, whatever, Michelle, this mess ain't coming. But when I say that, yes, so they have opened a real ID super center in downtown Chicago. A real ID super center.
Wow.
Think about that. And then so again, I don't know. And I think it would be great to find out from Wisconsin authorities of the people that have IDs and driver's license in the state of Wisconsin, how many of them actually already have real ID? Are we anticipating any kind of major rush to get this done? And if we are we doing anything to ramp up and be prepared? Again, we're not the size of a Chicago, but still, I think we got like 4 million people that's eligible to vote. So 18 or older that we know got IDs. The number of young people, 16, and this only impacts you if you're 18 or older. If you're 16, you can still get on a plane with a regular driver's license or ID. It only impacts you if you're 18 or older. But are we doing anything? And we may be. I just haven't heard about it. But are we doing anything? a Real ID super center in Chicago.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a major bum rush. Because it's a lot of people that's traveling over the summer, um, things like that. I really think it's gonna be a
I
wave.
mean, you think about summer, you're right, summer
Yeah.
vacations. I mean, there was nothing I wasn't doing that I didn't need to have my driver's license or some ID. So this is what I'm looking for.
But
And it's
Michelle,
still,
there's a potential too for folks that need to get certain documents that they may not have. Like
Yeah.
everybody don't have a birth certificate,
Yeah.
stuff of that nature that you're gonna have to go and get to be able to get the real ID. Is that true or no?
no, it's true. In fact, in the story that they did down in Florida, the woman said she made it all the way to the counter
Wow.
and found out after waiting in line for 3 hours, she made it all the way to the counter and only to find out that she was missing one piece of correct ID.
Wow.
So wait, so you have to have your birth certificate?
They give you a list of all the different things you have to have, and I'll go pull those.
See,
So
but
that
if you already in the system, why do you need that stuff?
because what they're saying is that the way the system is currently designed, some of it, like they felt like people could have doctored some information, falsified some information. They just wanted to have it a little bit more uniform what they were asking people to show by way of proof.
But I thought that with these IDs now, whatever that you can't copy or manipulate them because of a certain seal that's
But
in.
that's after you get it. I'm talking about the information you use to get it.
So
Your birth
information you fill out.
certificate. No, I'm saying the information that you provide to be able to get the ID or the driver's license in the first place. So you could provide potentially a fake birth certificate, a fraudulent name. It's not like, we talk about all the time, people gotta have fake IDs. It's not like
But it's not just flying, is it? Isn't it other
it's
federal
courthouses,
Right.
anything that's federal
Right.
that you want to try to access, you got to have that ID or you got to have your passport.
Okay.
Your passport will suffice. Because
Somebody told me a birth certificate, a piece of mail with your current address, and then of course your current driver's license would suffice.
so I will
Because
I will find out.
Mine don't expire
not find
until
out, but I'll
31.
Yeah, no, but you
Just got them in January and did not get the real ID at that point in time.
Yeah, that was bogus. Somebody should have actually told you. Like,
Yeah, but I don't know that I had
told you.
I didn't have the documents that I needed with.
But did they mention it to you that
No,
you should?
no, they didn't. But
Yeah.
but even at that,
There is some signage up in the DMVs that I've seen, but
Mhm.
still, people, it's crowded. You in there
I
to
ain't been to the DMV in a
take
minute.
care of business. You just getting in and get out.
well, you don't have
So-
to go when you ain't got no license, you know.
So that's so messed up.
Hey, man, I take back streets, brother.
Okay, so I was asking the question about how many Wisconsin residents already have real ID. So there was an article done in the Journal Sentinel, actually earlier this month on March 4th, and it said that 63% of people that are eligible for real ID in Wisconsin already have it. So we are doing great because in Chicago, in Illinois, they said only 30% of their people had a real ID in Illinois. So we're already, ahead of the game in Wisconsin. So for that last push of 36% of people, that have to get them, what is that going to look like? Because we're talking about getting this done in a relatively quick amount of time. We could take a caller.
Michelle, just quickly,
Yes.
if you look at the screen,
Yep.
I've put up a picture of what the real ID star looks like on the actual Wisconsin driver's license.
Right.
And then the one behind it just simply shows what mine says, not for federal purposes. So it certainly makes a difference. You have to have that star that they're referring to, and it is on screen.
And
Thank
it's
you
the
for
little
showing that.
wording. It's the wording that's on your license that people don't pay attention to. Like you said, but not for federal use. I didn't even see that on my license until he said that. And then I looked at it like, oh,
And
it
you
is
see it
there.
on there.
Yeah. But
Mm.
you don't pay attention to that stuff when you get them because you get them your license so you can be legal to drive.
Right.
So you ain't thinking about nothing else. You're like, hey, man, I want to drive. Let me get my license.
Yeah, no, like I said, at this point, people really should have been alerting people. Look, let me just take the break because we got 2 callers in queue. Callers, if you can, hang in there. We'll get you up first as soon as we come back. But I just wanted to flag that for y'all. because this is going to happen quickly and in short order. If you have college students who coming home this summer, make sure they get down to the DMV, and some of them ain't even going to be here because I don't know when the semester ends.
I know my son is coming home in May,
But like May what?
May
First of May?
5th.
So he'll get here 2 days before if he doesn't have real ID right now.
Yeah,
he
and
would
that's
get
what I've
here
been on because
2
I've been
days before.
trying to figure all this out. Because when you told me that, I'm thinking, okay, I got to get his stuff back home because he, you know.
So the reality is he just got to have it before he fly back out. So even if he, he's not here by May 7th, as long as you're not flying before May 7th, after May 7th, you got time to go get it. But you make sure that these students know, because some of these young people, they won't have that on their radar, that they got to have this. Let me take a break. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. Go ahead, dude.
Hey,
So,
y'all turn the radio
you know,
down for me. I'm hearing the feedback.
we in the we in the car.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, that's probably that. Let me turn my heat off. Maybe it's my heat. Is that better?
Let me see. No, I'm still. It's the radio.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just had two things. I was at the DMV last week getting stickers, and when I was listening to people, they said that you had to sound like she said you had to either have a birth certificate or a passport. I didn't hear him say, or you may need something like a bill or something too. But I know I heard him keep on saying to most people you need a birth certificate or a passport. And then I think it was like either 15.19 or 14.99 or 15.99 to get the driver's license or passport or the birth certificate. I mean, ID. I'm sorry, Michelle.
Yep. Nope.
So I
That's
think,
cool. I pulled it up, so I'll run through it for everybody.
yeah, and I'm one of those guys, Michelle. I can't use a straight razor at all. Period. Even if I get lined up, I'll look slick for the first couple of days. But about that third or fourth day, when them hairs start growing back in, I get messed up, and I even have to be careful with the clippers, Michelle. That's how my skin is. But it's because of the way the hair grows back in.
Right.
So I don't, or sometimes I might have to get a warm towel if you can get a brush or a toothbrush or something, and just kind of gently just pull it so to get those hairs out. But
so
I can't do it. My oldest son, he does that, right? Because he likes to have that clean shaven look, and his skin is all messed up, because it'll see those dark marks.
Right. That's what I saw. A lot of brothers have those dark marks on their skin. You can tell from where those bumps have been. Even though it's smooth, their skin is discolored.
Right. I don't like that. So
yeah, it's a rough situation. But so is there anything that you use on your face that makes it better? Or is it just taking a break from shaving?
I'll use shea butter or cocoa butter to try and help, but that's about it. My brother turned me on too because I got a beard now. And I know people don't like it. I know Keith Harris don't like it, but I got nappy hair, Michelle. I'll be telling people I can clip it off and put in the gun. I'll kill you if I shoot you with it. My hair is nappy.
So I know.
Okay.
So I know, George, that a lot of people back in the day, man, they used to use that bump no more and put it on their face. Well,
Keisha's dad still uses
bump no more. Well, I mean, I don't know nothing about it because I can't grow hair, man. I'm over
I never heard of it.
Babyface Edmonds. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, no, I know. Dr. Myers' dad. I buy it for him.
Yeah,
he'll tell me
more.
Pick up some.
And what is
no
it?
More
It's called
bump no more.
What does it do? It lets those hairs not grow back into your skin.
Clears it and pulls.
I guess I don't know how it works. If there's some brothers that use it that know, please call in. I just know when I'm moving around and he's like, "Hey, when you out, pick me up some bump no more." Like, yes, sir.
Okay.
And I bring it and hand it to him, and I see the magic. So I'll ask him today though. How does it work? Huh?
You got a clean face?
He has a clean face, but he does have like some of the discoloration, from like years past, like you can see a little bit of it. But for the most part,
my dad used to use the stinky stuff, right? I don't know what
Magic Shade.
Magic Shade.
Yeah. Oh man, Michelle.
Run you out the house.
Yikes.
Man, he used to use it used to look like a popsicle stick or something that when he put it on his face, he would take it off.
Yeah.
And it would be looking slick, but it was, man, a house, you have to leave the house, man. It's worse than chitlin.
Yeah, my grandfather, he had the little brush he brushed on and all that. So no, we know that this is something brothers have been dealing with for years.
Hey,
so
Michelle,
thank you. Yes.
I sent you some last week and it had some initials on it, right?
Okay.
And it was about, I don't know if I've seen it on CNN or MBS or 60 Minutes, but it's about young men, especially white boys, about how they have behavior issues and how they're falling behind and how girls outpace boys and learning and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so they were trying to start this program to specifically, and because of males will fall into it too, but it's specifically designed around white boys, young white kids, and I guess growing up. And so they asked him what was the difference between that and DEI, and the dude said when he said he really thought about it, there was nothing different about it. But it just really goes back, and I forgot what day I sent it to you.
I'll go look
I'll
for it.
try and send. But it comes back just like with the opiates and crack and stuff. When it affects their children, it's a whole different story about how they try and save them. But when it affects other people's children, they could give a damn about what happens to them.
Absolutely.
And so if you get a chance to look that up, maybe you could talk about it and stuff like that, because it's just crazy about how they think about theirs. But when it comes to somebody else's, they don't care. And I've been glad that you've been kind of getting on some of your callers, because your boy called Reverend Al yesterday. Reverend Al had to check him yesterday real good.
Oh, really?
He tried to even get loud with Reverend Al.
No! What?
Yeah, Michelle. Because he was like, he tried it with you too, because he's like, well, are we trying to? One minute he'd be acting like he down with the black people, because he was calling. I think he even talked to Keith about, or it might have been Tori. He was saying it too, about how we got all these groups, the NAACP and all these other groups. But why isn't anybody trying to take their concerns to 45/47? I call him Macho Man because he think he does. And then Reverend Al said that he wanted him to come to Mar-a-Lago, but he said he wasn't going up to Mar-a-Lago by himself. If he wanted him to come, he's going to bring those other groups like the NAACP and stuff like that, because he didn't want to try and get used as a photo op.
Right.
And he was saying that no, because he don't know them, that he's not going to do it. And Reverend Al was like, he's not going to do it anyway. You could tell by the policies that he's running, but this dude just keep off for whatever reason. And now he's trying to sign a bill to dismantle I want to call it the public schools, but the education thing.
The Department of Education. Yep.
And you know who that's going to affect more than any? Well, it's going to affect some of their children too.
No, yeah, it's going to affect. I mean, we're going to take the hardest hit, but it definitely is going to impact everybody. For the people who think this is going to be some great thing, it's not. It's not. And that, yeah. So I'll be talking about that and continuing to flag it.
Yes, Michelle, look for that, and if not, let me know and I'll send it back to you. But this dude is on a revenge tour. He's not caring about policies and all that with his lying. I don't even want to say it.
Right.
Talking about he don't know nothing about Project 2025 and all that stuff. He's just a lie, Michelle.
Yeah.
Anything he say about you is about him. But he's just trying to reverse on everybody, because everything he's doing is about revenge, Michelle. That's all he is. He's on a revenge tour. Anybody that even one of the Fox hosts the other day, this white lady, he even told her she was a disgrace. You need to go work at CNN. And then he asked you, who are you? What news network are you? So all this free speech and all this stuff that he's trying to promote, Michelle, it's just a lie, Michelle. If you don't agree with something, you're the dumbest person in the world. And this is what I never understand. Who in the world, his grades were that bad that he don't want nobody to see his grades when he was in, what was that school, that financial school he was supposed to be going to?
Wharton.
Yeah, his grades was that bad that I didn't even know you could do that, where you could go to court so nobody can see your grades. Who does that, Michelle?
Because somebody who got something to hide and is able to leverage their power and their wealth to be able to get what they want. That's who.
And did you hear what Steve Bannon said yesterday? I forgot who asked him. What's the guy, Cuomo? He said, when Trump runs back again in 2028, and then Cuomo said he can't do that. And he said that, how can he do that? And then Steve Bannon said, we're working on it.
Right.
So this dude, man.
No, they are honestly trying to float the idea of doing a possibility for a third term, even just changing term limits altogether for folks to be able to serve in the presidency. And I will certainly spend a little bit of time talking about that. But yeah, that definitely, they are serious about him being able. That's why he was telling people, you ain't got to worry about it again. Get me back in office this time and you ain't got to worry about it no more. Like, because I'm going to just be there. No, they trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure it out.
All right, Michelle.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the call.
Come on, little dude, let's go.
So let me just take a second, and because I haven't dealt with the salacious stuff yet, so I'll get to it. But let me just take a second, because when you talk about Trump and changes and what we're seeing. So number one, something small, but to me still interesting. Trump announces, yeah. So the Rose Garden, I'm taking the grass up and I'm gonna put down concrete, because the grass doesn't work. The ladies trying to walk on it, their heels get stuck in the grass, and the this, all of that, it just doesn't work. Okay. All right. Then he's been putting gold cherubs throughout the White House. Gold cherubs. Then he hung all these pictures of former presidents and people that he, worshiped, thought they was his heroes, in this haphazard, tacky looking gold frames in the office, his office in the White House. It looks like somebody let somebody with no class whatsoever come into the White House and just start gaudying it up, just making it look crazy. The same way like he had a gold toilet at his house, which is nasty and disgusting in and of itself. I'm sorry. There's no reason, purpose, rhyme for a gold toilet. That is somebody who is overcompensating. Now, bidet, knock yourself out. Let's do that. I'm all for it. But you are doing way too much because it speaks to your inadequacy as a human being. I think about former state senator Herb Cole. And I talk about when my son worked for the Bucks, that there would be, I forgot the car right now. I don't know if it was a LeSabre, whatever the car was, that would be parked on that parking lot in the back on the Bucks parking lot. And I had access because my son worked for the team. I would go through the back door to get in for the games and to pick him up and that kind of thing. And I remember seeing all of the fabulous cars of the players on the parking lots. I'm talking about blinged out, crazy cars. And then I would see this little conservative, regular car sitting over in the corner. And I remember asking the security guard one day, like, whose car is that? Because it just didn't it didn't make no sense. It didn't stand out. I mean, it didn't go with all the other cars on the lot. And he said, that's Herb Cole car. I was like, this car? He's like, yeah, that's Senator Cole's car. Okay. Senator Cole was comfortable in his wealth. I ain't got to flaunt it. I ain't got to, be all out. And I'm not saying bling is a problem. Be bling. Do bling. But you can do bling in good taste. And you can do bling like Rosie O'Donnell. Like trailer parkish. Not saying it's done wrong, but does it belong in the White House? So that was the first thing. Like, there really ought to be rules about what you can do. And in all fairness, the Rose Garden has had different iterations. Jackie O did something, somebody else did something, so people have kind of tinkered with it. It was actually created by one of the wives of one of the former presidents. But you shouldn't be able to just go in the White House. You have a personal living quarter upstairs. You shouldn't be able to go in the White House and just tacky it up with whatever your nonsense is. Like, they should be able to have certain things that are like, this is run by a committee, not by, because remember when Michelle and Barack got there and they was talking about they was going to ghetto up the White House and hood it up. And, Barack put in a basketball court and Michelle had a garden and Melania took it out and put some other mess in, so you get to personalize it. I get it. You live in there for 4 years, but it's not your house. It's not your home. And there should be rules and regulations about what you do to the people's house. They got private living quarters. Hang all them tacky gold frames upstairs in those living quarters. So that's one thing. Minor, but it grated my nerves when I heard it because his taste is hideous. It is absolutely gaudy and hideous and like somebody who ain't used to money trying to buy their way into high society. But that's just me. So the other thing. Oh, wait, let me get this caller while we got him. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, Michelle. To piggyback off of that goose stuff, basically the bump no more. It is for ingrown hair, and I used to use it for acne. But I wanted to know, did you hear about them? It was a viral video where they said that they're only going to try to train white people in military from this moment on.
I did not see that video. I'm going to look for it right now.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I wanted. I wondered, did Michelle see that? They was talking about that they only want to train white people from now on in military. So that's my fault.
I'm looking for it. Thank you so much. And this is the thing, which is so and thank you, caller. I appreciate it. But this is the thing that's so crazy. So we already know there are not enough white men alone to be the sole people in the military. We already know it. So what they probably are trying to say is we only want to train white soldiers to have leadership roles and everybody else just do grunt work. Because when we went to war, back in World War, I think it was World War I, and we had to call Mexico and say, we done ran out of men in America because they all fighting in the war. Can you send some Mexican men to the United States to work in our factories and our companies to help keep our economy going while we're fighting the war abroad? They had to bring black soldiers in because they did not have enough white soldiers to be able to fight for this country. And statistically, they don't have enough white men to be able to fight for this country and all the different skirmishes that we could be in around the world. And now we gonna protect the border and use military, personnel to protect, the border down in Florida leading up to Texas. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's a fairy tale. It's a dream that people live in, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We've already demonstrated there's not been a single skirmish, even going to the Civil War, when black folks and people of color did not fight in them wars and were needed in those wars to help win one way or the other. We've been in every war, every situation since its inception, even under segregated circumstances, even when we was being mistreated, even when we was being dogged, even when we were being spat upon, our intelligence was being questioned. We showed up and showed out every time. That's why when you see stories talking about they have now removed information from the defense, the department, identifying that Colin Powell was the first black man to do this, and this, that Medgar Evers is black in, his service. They had removed the information about Jackie Robinson. And I heard just before I came into work this morning that it was such an uproar that they didn't want to, credit Jackie Robinson and call out the fact that he was black and his, his contributions, and that they said, oh, we're going to go back and fix that. Because even white folks was raising hell. And the one thing we got to do, listeners to this show, you got to call your elected officials. You got to call the White House. You got to let people know you do not like what's happening. We can't just talk about it here on the radio. Because as far as these people are concerned, we not saying nothing. So they must be all right with it. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Michelle, the vagrancy laws back with slavery, do you think that the real ID, they're trying to bring back the vagrancy laws, like you don't have it, they'll come around and sweep you up, just an excuse for that, or that has nothing to do with that?
No, those aren't connected, but I will say, and thank you for the call. But
well, Michelle.
No, go ahead.
What does your hoodie say? We can't see it on YouTube. All we see is Uncle Bobby's. Is that the bungalow?
No, Uncle Bobby's. So Mark Lamont Hill has a coffee shop and bookstore in Philly. And so when I was in Philly, I went to, and it's called, his bookstore is called Uncle Bobby's. So yeah, so it's from the bookstore in Philly.
And then, are you going to the Kim concert?
You know I'm going to the Kim concert.
Oh, man. They had half off tickets the other day, and I slept on it. I logged in after 10 o'clock. And then lastly, shout out to the City of Milwaukee Health Department. I am a proud MPS parent, and they closed down my son's school due to the lead. So we had to shift to another school. And last Saturday at Tech, they had it where we could come get our children tested.
Right.
And they did a really good job. So just want to publicly shout out the City of Milwaukee Health Department. And you have a great weekend, Michelle.
All right. Thank you. I love her call. That was all upbeat and good. I like that. Let me catch the other caller. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I was listening to you, and then I wasn't going to say nothing, but then somebody had to find a way to inject me into this conversation.
Okay.
I called Reverend Al yesterday, and I wanted to ask him a question. And the question was, we have 5 organizations, huge organizations, because a lower caller on the show had talked about how we should become a third party and take over the Democrat Party. And I said, well, we basically, with our vote participation, we have took over, but we only 14% of the population. And we probably maybe 60% of that is eligible voters, and the other is uneligible to vote. And I said, we got 5 organizations, Michelle. We got NAACP. We got his group, NAN. We got the Urban League, which used to be a swing vote. The Urban League used to swing. You know, when I was a kid, it was a swing vote. But anyways, you got the Urban League. Then you got the ACLU. And it was one more that I called out. And I said, why isn't there anybody going to the table to talk to this administration, whether you talk to the man or you talk to somebody to represent us? Well, it jarred him for a minute, and he came back, and he paused for a couple of seconds because he good. And he said, well, you know, I did try to go down on his first deal, but we ain't talking about the first deal, man. We talking about a deal where my man is going and doing some executive orders. I really should have asked him if there was an executive order that he would love to get done. Which executive order, which would he took to the White House to try and get an executive order on for us? But neither nor. That's how the conversation went. It didn't go into no arguing, no fighting. I don't know where my man come at with that right there. It was a dialogue. And it was, I know how to handle myself. So anyway, listen, I was listening at you also. You were talking about this new ID thing. Now, if you look outside the box, you got to look outside the box for this new ID thing, because the new ID thing is setting us up for a permanent ID. See, that's the reason why they're pushing identity theft, LifeLock, all of this stuff, identity theft. And really, we are losing a lot. So let me hurry up. The identity theft thing is what's going to move the round world into accepting a permanent ID. This ID is temporary. This for real ID. People are going to figure a way out to manipulate that. If you go to Agenda 30, which was done by the UN in 2015, it talks about bringing us all into this one world thing, okay? And that's the Agenda 30 they want to get this thing going by 2030. I don't know if it'll take place with the disruption that we got now with the Republicans. They're going to fight back on that deal, I think. I don't know. But guess what? If you look at the 3 square market, that chip that goes between the pointer and the thumb down in Racine, in Kenosha, the 3 square market, they want to implement that as a real ID, that there'll be no confusion about me and you trading, you stealing my identity. But I hear the music coming, and I got to go.
All right. Thank you, Meech. I appreciate the call. All right, family, let me take a quick commercial break. Be right back.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation.
Donald Trump is out of control, stopping payments for healthcare and food for hungry kids, eliminating the Department of Education, and letting Elon Musk access your most private information. Now Trump and Musk are backing Brad Schimmel because they know he'll let them do whatever they want. not Judge Susan Crawford. She'll be the check and balance we need to protect us from Trump when he goes too far. That's why we need Judge Susan Crawford on the Supreme Court.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So let me quickly run through, just so we are clear, what is needed for the real ID. You need proof of name and date of birth. You need proof of legal presence in the U.S., proof of identity, proof of a name change if it's different from what's on your birth certificate, proof of address, 2 forms, and provide your social security number. And if you have questions, you can go to the State Department of Transportation, Wisconsin State Department of Transportation, and it walks you through everything that you need to show up with by way of documentation to be able to get your real ID. So if there are some questions, what can I use to verify my address? What can I use? Can I just bring my old driver's license? Do I have to have my birth certificate? Please check out this website or call the Department of Transportation for the state, and you're able to get that information. All right. So real quick, Meech mentioned Agenda 30. I had to go pull it up because I wanted to make sure that I was correct. He talked about Republicans working to fight against Agenda 30. So for people that are not familiar with what that is, the United Nations created something, an agenda for sustainable development. This was adopted back in 2015. And it's a global plan of action for people, the planet, and what they say is prosperity, encompassing 17 sustainable development goals to address issues like poverty, inequality, and climate change. So when Meech says the Republicans going to be fighting that thing, of course they are, because it addresses issues like poverty, inequality, and climate change. they do mention ID as a part of this discussion, but that is that they want to do something to make sure that everybody that needs an ID or to be able to provide legal identity can do so. So whether that's your birth registration, um, because they don't want to see people try to go vote and people say, "Oh, you don't have an ID, you can't vote." They don't want folks to, you know, try to access services. You don't have proper identification, you can't access services. They don't mandate one specific type of ID. There is no universal global card. But this is work that's being done to combat some of the stuff that we see happening even in our own country about whether or not you can produce what you need to be eligible to even vote in Wisconsin and in this country. So, you know, take a look at stuff for yourself because people will throw stuff out and you will hear it and like, oh, but I'm like, no, the way I remembered um Agenda 30 is that it was literally or about like sustainability. It was a global effort to make sure that we were dealing with the things that kept people, you know, marginalized, quite frankly. So I just had to add that because it was more to it than, you know, nobody's trying to make you have a global um one size fits all identification card that you can use anywhere in the world. That's not happening. Okay. So, couple things. Time is limited today. So, I don't know that I'm going to get to see God might be working to keep me from being trifling because um it's a couple things that I was going to say. But let me do this. Let me do this. The Department of Education today, the executive order that's coming down to dismantle as much as the Trump administration can without having to have Congress sign off or do the actual heavy lifting and make the changes. So I gut the agency. I leave Pell Grants intact. I leave. I think there were 3 areas they identified that oh, we're not going to touch those things, but everything else we trying to shift to the states. I got some states that are mandating that Bibles be in classroom and that the Bible be taught as a part of the curriculum. Every state will get to call the shots. If you live in a red state, a state that has a Republican controlled legislature and a Republican controlled governor, and if you get the trifecta with a Republican controlled Supreme Court, only God knows what your child will be getting by way of education in these systems. Only God knows what will be done with public dollars if there is nobody that is paying attention and there's oversight into how these dollars get spent, where these resources will go, which school systems will be funded adequately. You got Republicans right now saying we don't want to give aid to California in the wildfires because they allow abortions, or they have policies that have nothing to do with these wildfires that we don't agree with. And so, as a condition to give aid, you got to change your voting laws. You got to change your photo ID requirements. Like, this is what we potentially are doing with education. What hoops will we have to jump through if Republicans control the legislature, the Supreme Court, and the governor's office in terms of education here in Wisconsin? Because they've already demonstrated they can't be trusted with our education system. I'm not saying that the Democrats are necessarily any better. I'm just saying I don't think that it's intentional harm. I think it's incompetency on the Democrat side and uh an element of selfishness in some cases that get us here. But on the Republican side, man, I don't trust them as far as I could throw them with education. I got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to try to work in one more topic before we get out of here. So I think y'all have been saved, I can honestly say, from the foolishness I was going to be on today. Idea here locally that there was a man running basically a human trafficking type of operation right on State Street, right on under our noses, whose wife is a lawyer and downtown in the courthouse practicing every day but they got women walking around with collars on their neck. I'll talk about it on the other side.
Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
All right, family. Welcome back to the show. So I'm going to put off the story that I wanted to talk about until next week. I was looking at something during the break because I don't have a ton of time. I was looking at something during the break with Jermaine, and I keep trying to figure out if this was a actual interaction. It appears that it is, even though some folks have tried to say that it isn't. Let me play for you all what is going around on social media right now.
Here today. I'm just waiting at the bus stop. This isn't a bus stop. I usually come here every day, and the bus driver, when he gets here, he lets me know he's here, and I get on. What were you doing before you got here? Just coming home. Just coming from home at breakfast. And where are you going? I'm going to a friend's house. What do you intend to do at that friend's house? Well, what we normally do is just chill, relax, talk. Well, we have a report of a black man with a dangerous weapon. Yeah. I'm looking at the weapon right now. Well, I don't have a dangerous weapon. I'm looking at a weapon. It's in your hand. What are you doing with that? Sir, this is my walking stick. Your walking stick? Yes, I'm blind. I can't see. You're looking right at me. I can hear your voice, but I can't see you. So you're telling me you're blind and then you use that device to find your way around? I'm not buying it. Yeah, that's what it is, yep. Sir, that is a weapon, and you can't be in possession of it. It's not a weapon. What other weapons do you have on you? I don't have any weapons. No weapons at all? Not at all. So you're just sitting here randomly, no reason at all, carrying a weapon? Bro, I'm just waiting on my bus. This isn't a bus stop. We've already discussed that. No bus is coming here. I come here every day. Well, you're in the wrong spot. So your story's not adding up. Now, I would like to know what you're really up to. Like I said to you, you're stressing me out right now. I'm just waiting on my bus. You look very suspicious, and your behavior is very questionable right now. So I'm going to ask you again. Why are you here, and what are you doing? Bro, I'm just waiting on my bus. This isn't a bus stop. We've already discussed that. So you're going to have to come up with a better story than that. I don't appreciate being lied to. I'm an officer of the law. Do you understand that? Officer, I'm just waiting on the bus. I got no weapons on me. You didn't answer my question. Do you understand that I'm an officer of the law? I'm in charge here. I am the law. I understand that, officer. Can you repeat that? Who's the law? You are the law. I'm the law, not you. So where's the weapon? I have no weapon. It's in your hand. I'm looking at it. That's my What do you intend to do with that weapon? I'm not buying this whole blind thing. You're looking right at me. Officer, I'm just letting you know this is a walking stick. We gonna go get some narcotics? You gonna go rob some people? No, bro. I'm just chilling. Steal some stuff from the mall? Not at all. I'm just trying to wait for my bus. You're the one that damaged some vehicles, pick on little children. Excuse me, sir. Yeah. What are you doing here today?
All right. So Jermaine has shared this video with me. It has gone viral on TikTok. And the number of people said this can't be real. It had to be some folks just doing an enactment, trying to make police look bad. But I was able to go back and find that this incident happened on January 19th of this year at 2:15. The officer's name, Mikolzicki, is said to have been suspended with pay, but he is now back at work. And there are other incidences when I was looking for this story in which I found examples of other Black men who were blind, who had walking sticks, who had been arrested by actually taken into custody because the officers kept insisting that they were sitting as if it's illegal to sit somewhere. I just can't sit. It's a bench. So if I just sat down to take a break or just to enjoy the scenery, I can sit wherever I want to. And then to look at a stick and say it's a weapon. You can tell it's not a weapon. It's a stick. It's a stick. And then, the other obvious comments, you got some drugs in it. You're planning to damage cars. You're planning to snatch little kids. Like, and this is who we want to give full immunity to. Say and do whatever you want and not be held liable or accountable for your actions. We're going to sit you down with full pay.
I'm just floored because One, he's sitting there minding his own business.
And I want to, for people who haven't seen the video, this is a probably look like he about 40-ish gentleman, got on a baseball cap and a button-down dress shirt, a button-down dress shirt and some slacks, and got on shades. But he clearly don't even look like the run-of-the-mill cat that would be out here on some nonsense. But it's not illegal for me to sit on a bench anywhere I want to in America, as long as it's not private property. It's not illegal. And then for him to tell him, I see, and I'm like, what kind of officer is too dumb to recognize a walking stick of a blind person? Because those canes are very distinctive. They're white. They typically have a black tip because your hands is there, keep it from looking grummy and dirty and whatever. But the rest of the stick is white. It's universally known in America, when you see that white stick, it's a walking stick because the person is visually impaired in some way, shape, or form.
Well, what tripped me out is for him to say that they got a call of a black man with a weapon. So if that is true, whoever called that in is a complete douchebag, because clearly you can tell me that this is a blind man with a walking stick, if that was the case.
But here's the other thing, because I got to go back and figure out what state it happened in. It's not illegal for me to have a weapon.
Yeah.
Open carry exists.
You realize that is a common statement that officers use.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Oh, yeah, we got a call.
Yeah.
But
I told y'all the story. I was driving my little Geo Prism in Brookfield on my way to work on Barker Road. The car quit on me. Cop pulls up behind me, pushes me to work, but she gives me a running start. I'm going down here right at North Avenue by the hospital. So I'm coasting. When I get to Barker, it's surrounded. They got a call that I was fleeing. The car wasn't even running.
So
and so this is the thing. You don't have the ability to contact the car that is the officer that's behind you. Hey, we got a squad on Barker Road and blah, blah, blah. Are you in pursuit? Because ain't nobody called in no pursuit. So are you in pursuit?
When she got me to work, I said, what was all of that about in the intersection right there? She was like, yeah, they said they got a call that there was a black guy fleeing.
Just like the black teenager here in Milwaukee who was driving with his white
grandmama on Capitol.
And the police pulled her over and wanted to know if they were safe, if he had kidnapped them.
And they just left church.
Yeah. And he was riding in the back seat.
They just left
He
church.
wasn't driving.
Yeah.
He was riding in the back seat. But because they saw a black kid in the car with two white women, they wanted to know if they were safe. Y'all, people think, Michelle, you be doing too much. You always talk about race. Because it's always prevalent. It's always right there in your face. And this president and these ignorant Republicans that are allowing this stuff to fester, it's only making it worse. And that includes you Negroes that support this nonsense. You giving these people license. Them two black dead boys is dead for a reason in Georgia and not because of a murder-suicide. And you black individuals that call this show are co-signing what's happening to our community. I gotta go.
I agree.
Y'all have a great rest of y'all.
Say something real.